I went to the temple with my best friend to pray for good luck. When she snatched the divination stick container from my hand and was overjoyed when she saw her bleeding finger, I knew she had been reborn too. In my last life, my fingertip was pricked by the divination stick, and the blood landed on a frog. A golden light flashed. The eminent monk said it was a fortunate affinity. Carrying it with me from then on would bring me continuous good luck. I was skeptical but did as he said. That night, I won the grand prize of 1 million in the mall. The next day, I successfully signed a project worth over 100 million that I had been trying to get for half a month. Not long after, a young and handsome wealthy president fell in love with me at first sight and wanted to divorce his wife to marry me. The president's wife was not angry. Instead, she said she was convinced that she had lost to me and gave me billions of assets as a dowry. However, not long after I married into the wealthy family, my jealous best friend pushed me off a tall building, and I died miserably, turning into a pile of flesh. Go to hell, you bitch. You're not as good as me in everything. Why do you have such good luck? If I can't have it, neither can you. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment of drawing the divination stick. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Ha ha ha. My hand was pricked by this divination stick, and the blood splashed on the frog. Master, do you have any suggestions? My best friend Naomi danced with excitement and looked at the eminent monk eagerly. The eminent monk looked at her in surprise and then lowered his head to see the golden light flashing on the frog. Then he opened his mouth helplessly. This is a fortunate affinity destined by fate. As long as you take it home and raise it well, you will have continuous good luck. Naomi had always been afraid of such slippery animals, but she happily held the frog in her hands. Heaven has eyes. The lucky frog is finally mine. Seeing this, I was sure that Naomi had been reborn just like me. Remembering her ferocious appearance when she pushed me downstairs in my last life and the excruciating pain, a chill ran down my spine. Naomi didn't notice my emotions and was bent on confirming whether the good luck really belonged to her. Jolie, the good luck that fell from the sky is mine. You have no chance in this life. Just leave. She pulled me and rushed to the largest supermarket in City H. Shopping here today would allow us to participate in the lottery, and the grand prize was 1 million. After buying things, she squeezed into the crowd and threw our shopping receipts into the lottery box. The grand prize is mine. It's mine, Naomi muttered nervously, with a look of disbelief on her face. Soon, the lottery result was announced, and Naomi really won the grand prize, and a frog croak came from her pocket. She was surrounded by people enviously and couldn't stop smiling. It's true. Getting the lucky frog means getting good luck. It's finally my turn in this life. She gave me a triumphant look. Jolie, are you going crazy with jealousy? But this is just the beginning. With the lucky frog, I will reach the peak of my life. You don't deserve to be my friend at your level. We're done. After saying that, she pushed me aside and left triumphantly. Jealous. I couldn't help but find it ridiculous. In my last life, I was the one who got the frog and won the 1 million lottery. But the gifts of fate are clearly priced. Naomi doesn't know that the peak of life she thinks she's reaching is actually a terrifying abyss. Every day after marrying into the wealthy family, I felt like I was living a life worse than death and regretted taking that frog countless times. Since she wants to snatch this, good luck. I wish her good luck. The next day, Naomi came to the company dressed in famous brands and adorned with jewelry. Naomi came from an ordinary family. Everyone knew that. A colleague asked curiously, Naomi, did you win the lottery? What's the point of winning the lottery? I'll soon be worth billions. Naomi sneered and held the frog in her pocket in her hand, showing it off. This is the lucky frog that recognized me with our blood. It made me earn 1 million yesterday. With it, I will have continuous good luck and marry into a top wealthy family. Compared to my low-key behavior in my last life, Naomi couldn't wait to let the whole world know that she had great luck. Everyone looked at each other in surprise and even doubted her mental state. A female colleague closed the novel she was reading and couldn't help joking. According to my experience, if a wealthy CEO wants to marry you because of a frog, most likely the woman he loves is possessed in the frog, and he's just lying to you to exchange bodies. Then he will marry his lover, and you'll turn into a frog. Naomi was taken aback and then glared at the female colleague. Speaking with certainty. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. It's absolutely impossible. Read less brainless novels and just watch how I reach the peak of my life. Yes, there won't be such a thing as exchanging bodies. But the real secret of the lucky frog is even more terrifying. In my last life, I only knew half of the secret and paid a terrible price. I'm curious if Naomi can be up to the task and uncover all the secrets. I'm even more curious about what kind of end she will meet. A sound of footsteps came from outside. It was the company's big client. Our team had been following up on this order for half a year but hadn't been able to reach a cooperation. That's why Naomi and I went to the temple to pray for good luck, hoping to sign the order today. Naomi's eyes lit up. She carefully put the frog in her pocket and announced, "I'll get this order later." Coming from someone like Naomi who likes to slack off at work. No one believed her. Naomi snorted. "You all look down on me. Just wait and see. Today, Mr. Evan from the other side came in person, making the negotiation more difficult. It seemed that we were about to reach a dead end again. Croak. A frog croak suddenly sounded in the conference room. In such a serious occasion. "There's a frog in your conference room." The assistant of Mr. Evan on the opposite side asked in disbelief. The atmosphere suddenly became tense. But Naomi wasn't flustered at all and looked at Mr. Evan confidently. Sure enough, Mr. Evan, who had a cold expression before, softened his expression. "Whose frog is this?" "It's mine," Naomi quickly said. "This is the lucky frog I met when I went to the temple to draw a divination stick." After listening to her, Mr. Evan laughed unexpectedly. "It's really interesting. Since it represents good luck from the sky, we must sign this order for Miss Naomi's sake. I believe we will all have good luck." The contract that had been under negotiation for half a year was signed just like that. After Mr. Evan and his entourage left, the news that Naomi signed an order worth hundreds of millions with a frog spread in the company. Colleagues who had regarded the lucky frog as a joke before also surrounded her and thanked her. After all, with this order, everyone's bonus would be very generous. Facing the flattery, Naomi, who had always been vain, seemed a bit absent-minded and kept swiping her phone, until she saw Mr. Evan personally send an invitation in the project group, inviting our department to the cruise dinner tomorrow. Finally, it's here, Naomi said ecstatically to herself. Cyrus will also be there tomorrow. I will definitely seize this opportunity and make him fall in love with me at first sight and divorce to marry me. Many colleagues were shocked when they heard Naomi's boastful words. Mr. Cyrus, it's impossible. He's handsome and wealthy, but he's a wife's slave. He hasn't had any scandals in the 3 years since he got married. How could he divorce to marry you? And even if Cyrus is willing, he built his fortune with his wife Luna. Ms. Luna has connections in both the underworld and the upper world and loves him deeply. How could she accept him marrying someone else? Naomi, I admit you're lucky, but don't have such unrealistic dreams. If they find out, you'll be in big trouble. Seeing that everyone shook their heads and didn't believe her, Naomi looked disdainful. You just wait and be slapped in the face. Tomorrow night, I'll be the richest and happiest woman in City H. After saying that, she didn't forget to mock me. Jolie, are you so jealous that you can't speak? Do you think that if you had gotten the lucky frog yesterday, things would be different? Too bad you don't have that chance in this life. You don't even deserve to hold my shoes. Time passed, and it was the next night. Naomi dressed up and boarded the yacht. She stepped directly onto the deck and pretended to admire the sea view. It was exactly the same as what I did in my last life. Along the way, she kept saying that Cyrus would fall in love with her at first sight. But everyone thought her idea was absurd. Just then, Cyrus came to the yacht surrounded by a group of bodyguards. Everyone gathered around to greet him. Croak. Suddenly, a loud frog croak sounded. Cyrus looked in the direction of the sound, and there was a smile in his otherwise calm eyes. Mr. Evan told me about an interesting girl who carries a frog with her. I assume it's you. Cyrus walked past the crowd and came to Naomi's side step by step. Naomi trembled with excitement. She turned around with a coquettish look and said reservedly, "It's me. My name is Naomi." After seeing her face clearly, Cyrus covered his heart and took a few steps back, exclaiming, "I've never seen you before. But why do you look so familiar? It's as if you've appeared in my dreams many times. Miss Naomi, may I invite you to dance the opening dance?" Naomi couldn't hide her smile. She put her hand in his and walked towards the stage in the middle of the deck. Everyone was stunned by this change. Only I noticed the disgust that Cyrus tried to hide in his eyes. His gaze shifted, and he quickly glanced at me with a thoughtful expression. My heart skipped a beat, and a chill crept up my spine. In this life, we have no connection. But why does his look remind me of the way he schemed against me in my last life? It's impossible. It must be a coincidence. The frog isn't in my hands, and it has nothing to do with me. I felt a sense of unease and even wanted to leave immediately. But the ship had already set sail, so I hid at the back of the crowd, hoping it was just my imagination. The sky gradually darkened, and the moonlight shone on the sea, glistening with a cold light. At this moment, except for the music on the yacht, it was almost silent. In the past, when Cyrus danced the opening dance at the banquet, he always danced with his wife. Tonight, he took the initiative to invite Naomi. What's more exciting is that his wife Luna also came and was changing her dress in the cabin. Luna was very tough. Those women who coveted Cyrus before were severely punished by Luna, even if Cyrus didn't pay them any attention. I can't imagine how terrifying it would be when the three of them met. Who has the guts to dance the opening dance with my husband? Luna's husband. Sure enough, halfway through the dance on the stage, Luna, dressed in a gorgeous gown, came over, followed by a group of big men. Luna had a strong aura, clearly indicating that she was the legitimate wife going after the mistress. Everyone stepped back, not wanting to be involved. But Cyrus protected Naomi behind him and said firmly, "Mingyue, it's all my fault today. When I met Miss Naomi, I knew what love at first sight was. I only want to spend my life with her. I hope you can let us be together." Luna walked closer expressionlessly. People who knew her well knew that she was extremely angry. "Get out of the way. I want to see what this fox spirit looks like." Luna pushed Cyrus aside. Croak. A frog croak sounded abruptly, and Naomi's face was revealed. Luna stared at her for a long time and then sighed. She took off her wedding ring and threw it into the sea. If it were someone else, I would never agree. But for her, I really can't compare. Miss Naomi, I'm willing to step back. I'll keep 100 million as pocket money for myself, and I'll give you the rest of the assets as a wedding dowry. When these words came out, it was like a thunderbolt in the deep sea. Ms. Luna actually said she can't compare to this. Who on earth is she? She's Naomi from our company. She said yesterday that she would marry into a wealthy family. I can't believe it's true. God, 100 million is just pocket money. How much are all the assets? Naomi was so happy that she was carried away. She blurted out, "All the assets are 10 billion, and they will be mine soon." Seeing her greedy look, Luna's eyes darkened a bit, but she curled her lips. "That's right, Miss Naomi. I'm willing to give everything to you." She waved her hand, and the men behind her brought several contracts and transferred all her assets to Naomi on the spot. Everyone was envious, and Naomi was so excited that she was shaking. I couldn't help but tremble too because I saw clearly that Luna also looked at me thoughtfully for a long time. After coming back from the yacht, my mind was full of that terrifying look, and I couldn't sleep well all night. When I came to the company with 2 dark circles under my eyes, I happened to see Naomi coming to resign. She carried a platinum bag and was dressed in luxurious custom-made clothes. She said triumphantly that she had moved into a mansion last night and would get married in a week. Hearing this, I let out a sigh of relief. Since Cyrus really wants to marry her, it has nothing to do with me. It must be that I was wrong. Naomi pushed through the crowd and walked towards me arrogantly. Jolie, I know you must regret not grabbing the lucky frog. This is your fate. I won't invite you to my wedding, and I won't give you a chance to get close to me in Cyrusshire. You can only look up to me like a bug in the dark corner. It seems that after she killed me in my last life, she was afraid I would do the same. But she thought too much. I'm not willing to let her die so soon. I'm waiting for her to marry into the wealthy family and live her good life, and for her to uncover all the secrets in the daily torment. As for not inviting me, it's exactly what I want. I just want to stay away from this mess. A week later, on the day of Naomi's wedding, I was walking on the way to work. Suddenly, someone covered my mouth with a handkerchief and stuffed me into a car. When I woke up, I was actually at Cyrus' family's place. Naomi, wearing a wedding dress, looked at me with a twisted expression. You don't deserve to attend my wedding at all. Cyrus said that if I marry into the wealthy family and abandon my old friends, it will ruin my reputation. He insisted that you be the bridesmaid. You're so lucky. She viciously ordered the makeup artist. Make her look like an ugly monster. Otherwise, you won't be able to work in this industry anymore. The makeup artist looked embarrassed, and my heart sank completely. When Cyrus married me in my last life, he couldn't wait for me to cut off ties with my old friends, and the bridesmaid was a wealthy young lady I didn't know. Why is it completely different this time? A terrifying thought flashed through my mind. No, I can't fall into such a tragic situation again in this new life. The only thought in my mind was to get out of here as soon as possible. Naomi, you can't even decide on a bridesmaid. It seems that your wealthy husband doesn't love you that much. I crossed my arms and sneered. I just hoped that the method of goading would work and she would kick me out. Sure enough, Naomi couldn't stand being goaded. She pointed at me and started cursing. You bitch. You're just jealous of me. Cyrus will listen to me for sure. I'm the one making the decision. You're not going to be the bridesmaid. Get out. Just get out. I let out a sigh of relief. But I still put on a disgruntled look and walked towards the door bit by bit. Wait. Just as I put my hand on the doorknob, Naomi suddenly stopped me. Jolie, something's wrong with you. For someone like you, being a bridesmaid in a wealthy family should be something you'd beg for. But you just want to leave. Could it be? I turned around and saw her face turn gloomy. Jolie, have you been reborn? Tell me. My heart tightened. I was just about to play dumb when I saw her shaking her head and muttering to herself. It can't be. If you were really reborn, that bitch would only be unwilling and would want to stay and seduce Cyrus. She looked up and stared at me fiercely. Why do you want to leave? My back was against the doorframe. Looking towards the window from this angle, I could see that the peonies in the backyard were blooming beautifully. They were pink and red, like seeping blood. I shuddered for no reason and came up with an idea in a hurry. Because you want to make me look like an ugly monster. How can I face others when I make a fool of myself in such a big occasion? I will never agree to it. Naomi was taken aback and then laughed happily. So that's why. You're really making a fuss over nothing. Jolie, open your eyes and look. Since we were kids, I'm taller than you, prettier than you, and my figure is curvier than yours. You can't compare to me in anything. As she spoke, her eyes were filled with resentment. But everyone likes you. My mom said every day that you have good grades and told me to learn from you. My classmates also said you have a good personality and are more popular than me. At the company, my colleagues and the boss like you too. They said you have strong working abilities. Fine, but then you actually got lucky out of the blue. When she said this, Naomi suddenly stopped and all her unwillingness turned into triumph. No, I'm the one who got the good luck. I'll keep you under my feet in this life. I stared at her and felt a pang of discomfort. So that's what she thought. We were classmates since kindergarten and became inseparable best friends. We even worked in the same company. I truly regarded her as a friend. I tutored her when we were kids, and she managed to get into good schools time and time again. When she offended her classmates, I helped her resolve it. When she caused trouble at work, I helped her fix it. But I never expected that after all I did. It meant nothing in her eyes. I laughed at myself for being stupid and felt no more guilt about dragging her into this dangerous situation. I just sneered. You think making me look like an ugly monster will only make me lose face? If your bridesmaid makes a fool of herself, you'll be even more embarrassed than me. Naomi was stunned and realized I was right. But she was still unwilling. She didn't want me to appear in her wedding looking good. There's another way. The corner of her mouth curled into an abnormal smile. I'll just make you disappear from this world. This is my territory, and all these people are mine. You can't escape. There was real killing intent in Naomi's eyes. Maybe my happiness in my last life always made her hold a grudge. She thought that only when I was gone could she be completely at ease. But Jolie, you're really weak. I can deal with you all by myself. As if thinking of the scene where she easily pushed me downstairs in my last life. She sneered contemptuously. But she didn't know that she could easily push me downstairs because I was extremely weak at that time. Cyrus made the makeup artist make me look good every day. But my body was already exhausted. The days that I couldn't wait to escape, she was eager to experience. So, you want to kill me? I asked calmly. But my heart wasn't flustered. Naomi often spoke without thinking. But there was a makeup artist on the scene. And all the guests were waiting on the lawn of Cyrus' family's mansion for the wedding. If she killed me now, she couldn't dispose of my body. She was stupid. But not that stupid. Sure enough, Naomi's face twitched. And she glared at me fiercely. It's just a joke. You fool. Naomi, is the bridesmaid ready? Cyrus's voice came from the other side of the door. I felt a chill run down my spine and quickly dodged. When he opened the door and saw that I was still wearing that overly office-like suit, he frowned. Why hasn't it started yet? The makeup artist looked embarrassed and didn't know what to say. Fortunately, Naomi took Cyrus's arm and shook it coquettishly. Cyrus, I've broken up with her. I don't want her to be my bridesmaid. I really don't want her. That delicate and annoying voice made me feel goosebumps all over. Cyrus also stiffened and tried to hide the disgust in his eyes. He patted her. That's okay. I'll find a bridesmaid among the daughters of our family friends. As long as the wedding goes smoothly, anything is fine. Naomi happily hugged him. Cyrus, I knew you cared about me the most. She was immersed in the ecstasy of the domineering CEO loving her deeply. But she didn't realize that Cyrus didn't care about her. He only cared about the wedding going smoothly. He just wanted to make sure the ceremony went off without a hitch. Naomi deliberately showed off. Cyrus, you said that after we get married, I don't have to stay at home and can do what I like. I want to act. Will you invest and let me be the leading actress? Cyrus nodded gently. Of course. Naomi looked at me triumphantly. I knew what she was thinking. After I married into the wealthy family in my last life, I never showed up in public again. She thought that not only did she steal my good luck, but she was also more glorious than me and could get Cyrus's love. But she was wrong. Cyrus said even more sweet words to me in my last life. At that time, although I got the lucky frog, I was still sober. I thought winning $1 million lottery and signing the order was already enough luck. I didn't want to marry into a wealthy family, especially with this kind of plot where the CEO fell in love with me at first sight and the original wife supported it as if she was bewitched. I just thought it was strange. It's better to rely on myself to start a career. My family also thought this was unreliable and supported my idea. Unfortunately, Cyrus wouldn't let me go. When his coaxing didn't work on me, he threatened my family. I thought about resisting. But on the contract where Luna transferred billions of assets to me, it was clearly written that the agreement would only take effect after I married Cyrus. I had nothing and couldn't compete with the powerful. I didn't want to implicate my family. So I had to accept the proposal. And my intuition was right. As soon as the wedding ended, the nightmare began. Naomi had no idea. She just thought she was a complete winner. Cyrus, make Jolie leave now. She hugged Cyrus's arm defiantly and looked at me with a scowl. No. Cyrus's voice turned cold and he flatly refused. realizing he had lost his composure. He quickly softened his voice. I mean, if she broke up with you, she's definitely not a good person. Why don't we detain her here? I'll help you get revenge later. These words made Naomi overjoyed, and she agreed repeatedly. I was held up by 2 tall bodyguards. I was like a chick caught by an eagle and couldn't resist. Seeing that Cyrus insisted on keeping me here, I became more and more convinced that the guess in my heart was true. I was locked in the basement. I could vaguely hear the wedding march and the lively sounds outside, but that liveliness had nothing to do with me. If I wasn't wrong, my trouble would come after the wedding. Thinking of what happened in my last life, I shuddered, but now my hands were tied up. The door was tightly closed, and I could hear the bodyguards pacing back and forth outside. I had nowhere to escape. Time passed, and the despair in my heart grew stronger. I don't know how long it took, but the noise outside gradually stopped. The door to the basement opened, and the bodyguards carried me upstairs to the master bedroom on the 2nd floor. It was decorated like a bridal chamber. Naomi pouted coquettishly, waiting for Cyrus to kiss her. When she suddenly saw me being brought in, her eyes widened. Cyrus, I know you want to help me get revenge, but it's our wedding night. There's no need to be in such a hurry. No, I can't wait any longer. My wife. After saying the last 3 words, there was no warmth left in Cyrus's voice. With a look, 2 more bodyguards came in and held Naomi down firmly. What do you mean? Cyrus, what are you doing? Naomi was completely confused. Cyrus ignored her and looked outside with a loving expression. The sound of high heels sounded unhurriedly, and Luna, who said she would step back and let us be, appeared. She was wearing the latest high-end custom-made suit and sat on the imperial concubine's couch in the room. There was an uncontrollable expectation on her face. Cyrus naturally took off her high heels, massaged her feet, and then took out a pair of slippers for her to change into. He really lived up to his reputation as a wife's slave. Naomi was shocked by this scene and started yelling in a hurry. What's going on? What are you doing? Luna and Cyrus interlocked their fingers, and their eyes were filled with fanaticism. What am I doing? I'm doing something I've been waiting for 2 years. She carefully took out a frog from her pocket and stroked it gently. Naomi's pupils shrank suddenly. Why do you have my lucky frog? I see. You couldn't compete with my good luck, so you pretended to step back. In fact, you want to steal my lucky frog and take Cyrus back. You're so insidious. Luna looked at her with disdain. I knew you were stupid, but I didn't expect you to be this stupid. There's no such thing as a lucky frog. It's just a psychological hint for you, making you believe that this marriage was brought by good luck. In fact, their real purpose is to use your blood to complete a certain ceremony. As time passes, once the frog sucks you dry, you'll have no more use. Naomi stared at me. How do you know all this? So you were really reborn, right? I didn't answer, which was a kind of acquiescence. Naomi suddenly looked a bit absent-minded. So you ignored me after you got married in your last life. It wasn't because you were snobbish, but you didn't want to drag me into this. I really wronged you. A trace of guilt appeared in her eyes, but soon she became angry again. No, since you knew this was a trap, why didn't you remind me when I took the frog? You're really not a good person. I was speechless. In my last life, she was jealous of me and killed me. In this life, she stole my things. But in the end, I was the one in the wrong. But this wasn't the time to argue about this. For now, she own chest. Suddenly, 3 people were seriously injured, and Cyrus' family had to call an ambulance. What happened today couldn't be hidden. Soon, the police were alerted. The police interrogated the eminent monk. The remaining half of the secret that had been bothering me was finally solved. It turned out that 2 years ago, Luna was about to give birth. On the way to the hospital, she was followed by enemies from the underworld and had a car accident. She fell into the river with the car, and the baby was born in the water. When Cyrus arrived with people, the injured and unconscious Luna was fished out, but their baby unfortunately suffocated to death. Cyrus loved Luna deeply. He thought it was okay as long as she was safe and comforted her, saying they would have another baby.
but she couldn't get over it. Luna asked the eminent monk to release the soul of the child and let it be reincarnated into her body. The eminent monk said that the child didn't die but exchanged its body with a frog in the river. If they found the frog and used a specific ceremony to nourish its soul within 2 years, it could turn back into an embryo. However, Naomi didn't notice my emotions and was bent on confirming whether the good luck really belonged to her. As for the way to nourish the soul, they needed to find a girl with the same destiny who was also in her zodiac year. A bowl of heart's blood every day. When the girl's blood ran dry, the ceremony would be completed. However, they had already found 9 girls before and spent more than a year on it. But every attempt failed. Later, the eminent monk read in an ancient book that just nourishing the soul wasn't enough. The girl must become the nominal mother of the child, and only then would the frog be willing to turn back into an embryo. That's why Cyrus couldn't wait to complete the wedding. And Luna didn't object. I was the one originally chosen. I was the girl with the same destiny in her zodiac year. They had carefully laid out the plan and led me to the temple. But no one expected that Naomi would rush to drip her blood onto the frog. Dripping blood would complete the contract, which meant they could only use her blood for the ceremony. But calculating the time, this was their last chance, so they could only come up with a compromise. First, they used my blood to feed Naomi. Through the eminent monk's spell, the blood was transferred to her chest and then fed to the frog. According to his confession, the police dug out the skeletons of 9 girls in the backyard of Cyrus' family. No wonder the peonies bloomed so beautifully. This was the reason. Cyrus and Luna were both rescued, but because they were responsible for 9 lives, they, like the eminent monk, were sentenced to death. It was said that before the execution, Cyrus begged every day to see Luna, saying he was afraid she would suffer and that he wanted to protect her. But as serious criminals, it was impossible. Luna had gone crazy. She kept pinching the mud, saying it was her frog baby. As for Naomi, she died on the way to the hospital. Before she died, she kept mumbling about starting over. But in life, there aren't that many chances to start over. With her closing her eyes, all the grudges came to an end. I went back to my original life. In this life, I will rely on myself steadily and reach the peak of my life that belongs to me. The end of the text.